Alrighty, people, we are live on my Twitter and the Fireside Knicks YouTube, and in just a moment, we will also be on the Fireside Knicks Instagram. Just wanted to come on here. You guys asked for it. You guys really love these post-game streams, as I did one yesterday after that horrible game against the Rockets. So today I decided to come back on here to do yet another stream, this one to cover a win. Finally, a victory. The Knicks snapped their 3-game losing streak today, defeating the Memphis Grizzlies by a score of 130 to 119. It wasn't the prettiest of games, but overall it was a wire-to-wire victory, so we will in fact take that. And what is up to everybody in the chat? I see we got a handful of people already on Instagram. And of course, anybody who's watching on YouTube and Twitter as well. Shout out to everybody there. But anyways, just to kind of recap this game real quick, the Knicks sat a couple people in this one for injury management or some rest. Jalen Brunson did not play for ankle soreness. Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson both sat out for injury management. So the Knicks were a little shorthanded, but it was against a Grizzlies team who was even more shorthanded. They had basically a very unrecognizable rotation. And the Knicks, I mean, they handled business. Obviously, the win was not the prettiest, like I said, but overall, I mean, we'll take a wire-to-wire win any day of the week. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, those two guys stood out as the leading scorers. OG Anunoby had 25 points and 13 rebounds, while also knocking down 4 3-pointers. And Mikal Bridges, he really stepped up today in Brunson's absence, scoring 24 points. First time since March 1st that he has scored 20 or more points. So that is very encouraging to see. He knocked down a couple threes. He made some good defensive plays. Karl Anthony Towns, of course, recording a triple-double tonight, channeling his inner Nikola Jokic, going 20 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. That's his second triple-double as a member of the New York Knicks. And, you know, at the end of the day, we'll take the win. I think they still have a few things to clean up on, especially some consistency problems on offense. Obviously, that third quarter, they let the Grizzlies get back into the game. The Grizzlies cut what was once a 22-point deficit to just 3. That definitely had me nervous there, but I mean, credit to them. They ended up bouncing back and not letting Memphis take over the game or even take any lead at any point, and they handled business. They won the game by double digits, and you know, they're clearly still going through the motions at this time. Clearly, things are still not the most pretty at the moment, but you know, at the end of the day, like I just said, we will take the win any chance we get, especially with what has been transpiring of late. They finally snapped their 3-game losing streak, so you know you got that monkey off your back now. You're back in the win column. You're 1 win away from 50 wins on the year, which would be the 3rd consecutive season that they will have done so. And that is definitely nice to see. Obviously, again, I still am unsure about where this team is going in the postseason. There's still a lot of things that need to be cleaned up. Like I said, it was not the most pretty of games, but you know, we take it at the end of the day. Jose Alvarado, I thought, was pretty solid. Starting for Jalen Brunson tonight, he had 13 points. He made some nice plays on defense, moved the ball really well. Tyler Colette got some burn off the bench, and he was really nice moving the ball as well. So when everybody gets involved, good things happen for this group. We've said that dozens of times, and I'm going to say it again because we saw tonight they moved the ball pretty well. And what do you know? They ended up getting some much consistency after, not consistency, but you know, they strung together some good offense for a large portion of this game. That first half, they set a franchise record for most points in a half. They scored 79 points in the first half, and 48 of those came in the first quarter. So, really good offensive performance tonight overall by the team. Obviously, that third quarter, like I said, was a little rocky, but they got through it, and then they powered through in the fourth quarter and pulled away. And you came through with a win unscathed, and everyone is healthy. That's the most important thing at this point in the year. We want to make sure everybody stays healthy. There's only 5 games remaining left on the schedule, so we want to make sure everybody just stays healthy. Everybody gets through it, and you know, most importantly, of course, come away with some wins to close off the season. What has been a very weird and rocky season overall, but you know, I don't have much else to say about this game. I mean, you know, I expected the Knicks to take care of business and win this game, and I'm glad they were able to do so. They have the Chicago Bulls coming up on Friday. That should also be a pretty easy win. And the Knicks will also be at home for that one. They're going to close out the season at home, I believe. I believe they have actually one more road game. I will double check and confirm that right now, but I believe they have one more game on the road, and I think that's against Atlanta. Yeah, they have one more game against on the road, and that is against Atlanta on April 6th. And Atlanta has been rolling lately, so that is going to be a pretty significant game. But for their final 5 games, they have the Bulls on Friday. And then they have the Hawks on Monday, the Celtics on Thursday at MSG. That's going to be a huge game, could have major implications on the second seed, depending on how Boston continues to do. And then they have the Raptors on April 10th, and then the Hornets to close out the season on April 12th. All of those games are going to be pretty significant. Each of those games are really, except Bulls, are against playoff teams. So they have a big test coming up. And, I just want to see them close it out strong. They need to get through it. Obviously, last night against Houston was very discouraging, but I'm glad they were able to, I'm glad they were able to bounce back despite the Grizzlies being really bad. I'm glad they were able to at least bounce back and take care of business and beat the team they're supposed to beat. Obviously, not every game is going to be that way, but we'll take it at the end of the day. But anyways, guys, I'll keep this stream short, but I do want to turn it over to some people who have commented on the Instagram and stuff. I know a handful of people have been commenting. I do appreciate the people who are tuning in right now. I know it's a little late. We had a decent amount of viewers yesterday, and I'm hoping we get the same. So if you guys are watching this on Twitter and YouTube, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to repost this if you're on Twitter as well. Would love to get more eyes on this, of course, and also you guys watching, I do appreciate. If you're on Instagram, the Fireside Knicks Instagram, same thing. Just like this stream up. Make sure you repost it, reshare it, share it to all your people who you might think will enjoy this type of stream. And yeah, and make sure you follow Fireside Knicks as well. But anyways, I'm gonna turn it over to some comments on Instagram. I see we have some that have been leaving some comments. I'm going to get to some of these right now as I go through them. Just going to look through and see what we can start with. Somebody said, I'm honestly looking forward to the next 4 games. Hawks, Celtics, Raptors, Hornets. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them too because I think it's a big test for them. I obviously I have my concerns about this group, and I'm not going to spend this stream to dive into every concern just because, they're coming off a win. It was a nice win. I'm glad they were able to bounce back. But they obviously still have a good amount of things to clean up. It's definitely not perfect right now. So, I'm looking forward to these next games because it's a big test for them. They have a huge test coming up, and they really still need to show something. So we'll just see what happens. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more just to see. Somebody said, is this win an April Fool's prank? It feels like it, right? It really does. But no, it's not an April Fool's prank. They actually did win today. So shout out to the Knicks. Shout out to the guys for coming through with a big win. Granted, it was against a really bad Grizzlies team, but I don't even care. They needed a win badly. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Somebody said, Knicks fan forever, but I can't see this team getting the job done. Look, I know this game was not the most encouraging outcome. Just, given that it was I wouldn't say it was like a really close game, but given that they kind of let Memphis kind of claw their way back, given who Memphis was fielding out there, the Knicks were managing some minutes tonight. We saw Karl-Anthony Towns did not play a whole ton of minutes. Josh Hart didn't play a whole ton of minutes either. They were definitely managing it a little bit tonight. They kind of knew that the rest of the guys could get the job done, and they were right in thinking so because they ended up winning the game. I imagine Jalen Brunson, if this was a playoff game, I'd imagine Jalen Brunson would have played. I imagine that they were mostly just kind of giving him a little bit of rest just because of the opponent that they were playing against, and I would hope to see him back on the floor on Friday. That would be ideal. So I'm not too concerned or anything. I mean, look, I have my concerns about the group as a whole, but as far as how tonight went, I mean, it was a good win. I can't really complain too much about tonight. I was a little upset during that third quarter, but I'm glad they were able to rebound and bounce back despite that. Somebody said, unfortunately, this team won't get it done. They won't let Cat shoot threes anymore. I thought it was notable that Cat did not attempt a three-pointer tonight. Look, they clearly want to get Cat involved in the post more, and that's fine because he is a good player in the post when he uses his strength. But I do agree that I want them to use that 3-point strength more. I think it'll open up the floor so much more than what it is right now. So I want to see Cat shoot more threes, but if Cat can shoot more threes and become really aggressive all around, then the Knicks can go far. But if he's gonna not really do a whole ton, then that's where the issues will arise. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Somebody said they need to work on their defense. Yeah, their defense was not great tonight. I mean, this Grizzlies team should not have scored 119 points, and they were also lights out from three. They had a good shooting night. They have good shooters, so I mean, it happens. But the defense definitely could have been better. But I thought the defense in the fourth quarter was a lot better than it was in the third quarter. I thought third quarter was a really bad defensive period, but I thought in the fourth quarter they really tightened it up, and that's why they were able to pull away with a double digit victory despite the up and down performance. Really, so when you said I still think we could take the second seed, yeah, I do still think they can, but time is running out. They have to keep winning, and Boston needs to find a way to lose a game. I mean, Boston just keeps on winning. Today they had an explosive game against Miami, so um, Boston might look like they're well in that driver's seat for that second seed, unfortunately for us, but you know, we survive in advance. Let's see what else we got. I'm gonna scroll down and see what other comments. Somebody said, "What up, bro? What a game from the guys today." Yeah, it was a good win indeed. And shout out Brunson highlights. He's a good Instagram account to follow for all things Jalen Brunson. If you guys like Jalen Brunson, which I imagine everybody here or most people here do, so make sure you go follow him. He is a good follow. Let's see what else we got here. Someone said the ball moves more without Brunson. Um, it looked like it was, but I don't think this game is really something we can write off on Jalen Brunson for any kind of takeaway. I think it was just simply the guys were playing more energized and looking to win the game after a pretty crappy loss against Houston. So um, I think really it was just they played with more energy, and I think the opponent plays a factor. I mean, the Grizzlies are not really good. They're pretty bad. They have 25 wins this year, and I mean, if you did watch the game, look who they had on the floor. I mean, I'll be honest, guys, I had not heard of half of those guys on that team. So, like, and I'm not trying to disrespect those guys. Those guys played really hard today, given the circumstances for them. But I honestly had not heard of many of those guys. So, um, obviously I heard of the main guys like Gigi Jackson, um, you know, guys like that. I heard of some of these guys, but obviously not all of them. I thought a lot of those guys, I was like, I've never heard of them before. So, um, it is what it is. But I don't think we can really write anything about Brunson with this one. I mean, like the ball moved more without him, yeah, but I mean, look, it's two different play styles. Alvarado is more of a playmaking guard, and Brunson's obviously a score first guard. So it's two different styles, but um, Brunson's style has still proven that they can win a lot. Yes, at times it gets clunky, but um, they still win a lot of games with him at the helm. So I don't think we can really write it off on any way. Let's see what else we got. Someone said, "Can you replace Mikal Bridges and play for him instead?" Well, Mikal played well today. Mikal played well today, so I'm not going to rag on him tonight. He actually played really well. I was very pleased with Mikal Bridges' performance tonight on both ends of the floor. So shout out him. You guys cooked me for saying shout out Mikal after he scored 14 one time, but shout out Mikal for real this time. He played really well tonight. Someone said, "What team will show up in the playoffs?" That's the big question, man. That is the big question, the big concern. We don't know which version of this team we're going to get because we've seen this team can be explosive on both ends at any given night, and on other nights they look like they've never played together before. So I'm hoping that the first option I pointed out is the one that shows up in April. Well, now we're in April, but in the playoffs and moving forward. Let's see what else you guys have been saying. Someone said, "I'm hoping we get Toronto first round." Um, I hope so too. I think ideally, I think that's like the ideal matchup. But if the Knicks are so-called title contenders, they should not be ducking anybody. So, um, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Somebody said, "I feel like Towns does not like playing with Brunson." I wouldn't go that far. I think the problem is that the system. It's not utilizing Brunson and Towns together enough. We're not maximizing the pairing. Carmelo Anthony pointed this out against Houston last night in the halftime, but Jalen Brunson and Towns are not running any pick and rolls together, which is that's a scheme problem. Why are those guys not in the action every single play or most plays, at least when they're on the floor together? You should be getting those guys in pick and roll or pick and pop all the time because I think that would expand the offense so much more. The creativity would be off the charts. You have two guys who can score at all three levels basically. Um, so I think they need to maximize that and use it more, and they're not doing that. So that's the problem. I don't think it's really an issue between them two. Somebody said, "What's up? What's up, man? I hope you're having a good night." It's a good Knicks win. It's always fun when the Knicks win. Someone asked if I think we're gonna win the finals this year. As a fan, I'm gonna say yeah, but as a realist here, I don't know. Honestly, I don't because at the same time, I don't know if this group is ready for the playoffs, but I also have seen them play at their best many times, so they can easily make it to the finals and perhaps win the finals, but they have to show me that they can be consistent. Someone asked who's the king of New York, Jalen Brunson or Aaron Judge? Look, I love Jalen Brunson more than anybody else, but it's Aaron Judge, man. Aaron Judge is is probably the greatest hitter that I've personally gotten to witness. I was not old enough to witness Barry Bonds, and obviously I witnessed Alex Rodriguez, but I witnessed the back end of Alex Rodriguez's career. So Aaron Judge is easily the king of New York. And look, I have a core four poster right back there. So, I'm very much in tune with my Yankees lore. And I'm sorry, but it's Aaron Judge as much as I love Jalen Brunson. Someone said hot take, bring Tibbs back. No, no. Look, I know that we have a lot of Tibbs defenders and whatnot, but look, I still believe getting rid of Tibbs was the right choice. I understand he was. I never thought Tibbs was like some god awful coach, but um, I did think that moving on from him was the right choice. I did think moving on from him was the right choice. Um, and I'm not trying to like again. I get it. I don't think Tibbs was bad. I don't. Um, I think moving on was the right choice. The only question really that we can ask at this point is if Mike Brown is the right guy. And right now, I think we still don't know. So I don't think we'll really have that answer until the postseason. Because if they fizzle out early in the playoffs, then we'll know Mike Brown probably isn't the guy. So um, we'll go from there. Somebody said, "What's up, big bro? Big fan of your designs. Show me how to do them." I do appreciate that you like them. I do appreciate that. Let's see what else some people have been saying. Would you rather have Giannis or Cat on this Knicks team? Well, look, I'm not going to rag too hard on Cat right now, but I mean, obviously, I think the correct answer should be Giannis because he's a much better player than Karl Anthony Towns. But I also acknowledge that getting Giannis would require giving up a lot. So, um, it's give or take. But I mean, obviously, I think anybody should want Giannis on the team over a player like that if you had to choose one. But um, you know, there's risk with both. I mean, giving up Cat means you're losing a versatile center, but it also means you're getting off of his big contract. But bringing in Giannis means you're adding a superstar, but also a guy who's been dealing with injuries a lot lately. So, um, it's give or take there. But I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Giannis just because the trade deadline's passed and we're almost in the playoffs, and I want to focus on this current group right now, and then we can have another conversation about it um in the off season. Someone said I like this light skinned Kolek. Kolek played well today. I was really impressed with how he played. Someone said Brown was the worst option. He has a loaded bench and we're losing to bad teams. Need a guy that would use the whole bench and let the shooters shoot. I don't think his usage of the bench or lack of is the issue. I think the issue is just his schemes. I think the system he's trying to implement just doesn't fit this group because he's trying to use a very it's an offense heavy group and it's off our system, excuse me, it's an offense heavy system that relies a lot on ball movement and 3-point shooters. And while I do think the Knicks are very talented at that kind of stuff, it's not their specialty. Brunson's more of a versatile scoring guard. Like he's a really good 3-point shooter, but it's not like he's like only shooting threes. Karl Anthony Towns is showing this year that he's not only a 3-point shooter. Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, they're great from the corners, but they're not exactly great from the other spots of the court on the 3-point line. And they're also more of OG likes to finish a little bit more. Mikal Bridges is kind of a mid-range specialist, so two different play styles. And Josh Hart, we all know Josh Hart doesn't exactly look to score a whole lot. So, and then you look at the bench. I mean, they have Shamit, who's been really good from three, and of course McBride's been really good from three. But um, they don't have I guess somebody who's like a Dante DiVincenzo, if you want to put it that way. I feel like that was the first time in a while that the Knicks had like a truly elite 3-point shooter that was like strictly a 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? Like even though Dante wasn't strictly threes, he was mostly threes. I hope I'm making sense with that point, but I think that's really where the issues come into play. Let's see what else we got here. I see some more people have joined, so I do appreciate it. I see we have a comment on YouTube, so I'm going to take off the overlay for 1 sec so I can pull it up for you guys. This person said, "Who do you think we should re-sign in the offseason and not?" I think they need to re-sign Mitchell Robinson. I think that's a must. I think you have to bring him back in. My opinion changed completely this year because over the summer I was saying the opposite. I was saying that they should consider looking to move him. They should, consider his health and look to move him while his value was still a little high. I'm glad they didn't do it, and I'm glad that he stayed healthy this year, and I'm glad he's been very impactful. I think you got to keep him around. I don't want them to end up in another Isaiah Hartenstein situation from a couple summers ago. So I think you have to bring him back. And as far as not, um, that's a good question because Karl Anthony Towns is someone who is extension eligible coming up. I saw from an ESPN report, I think he's eligible for up to like $260 million, which is a lot of money. And you have to know he's going to give you that kind of production because he's already making a lot of money. So it's risky. They have some choices to make for sure, but I think a lot of those choices will boil down to just where they finish in the postseason. I'll take a water break and then I will get to some other comments. Somebody asked, "Do I think Brunson will be the greatest Knick of all time if he wins a ring?" That is a great question, and honestly, man, it's tough because I really want to say yes, but it's hard to beat like Walt Clyde Frazier and Willis Reed because those guys were core pieces to, I guess, dynasty Knicks teams and won MVPs. And Jalen Brunson, of course, does not have an MVP, so um, that's tough. That's a tough one, but I think Brunson's already creeping up on top 5 greatest Knicks ever. The Knicks don't have exactly the deepest history, so um it's a conversation. It's definitely a conversation. I'd argue he's better than Patrick Ewing if he gets a ring. I would argue that. Would I definitely say it? I'm not sure, but I think there's a case if he leads the Knicks to a ring. And Patrick Ewing was fantastic, obviously, and he led the Knicks to the finals 2 times, but he didn't win a ring, unfortunately. So, you know, questions to have, but I also didn't watch Patrick Ewing live, so um maybe to some my opinion on that means nothing because I didn't watch him live just because I was simply not born when he was playing. Um I was born a couple years after he was done playing, so um we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. Let's see what else we got. I'm not gonna keep this stream long, by the way. I'll probably end this within 5 to 10 minutes. It's I debated even going live just because I expected the Knicks to win, but you guys really like these post game streams, so I kept my promise and I said I would do these, and I'll do these more often. I'll try to do them after every game. If there's ever a time where I can't, of course I will make sure you guys are aware of that. But expect more of these after games. You guys seem to like these, and I like doing them too. So expect that. But anyways, let's see what else we got. Someone said we got to find a way to get Dante back this summer. I don't think they have to get Dante back. It would be nice, but I don't think it's like a priority or a necessity um for anything like that. Someone said Hook Porty played good too. I'm glad you brought up Hook Porty. I almost forgot about Hook Porty. He played really good today, actually. He was the defensive player of the game. And shout out him because he's had a very weird season in the NBA, but he's also shown some big time flashes in the G League. So shout out him. He played really nice today. I can't be too upset with his performance. He was really nice. And he showed some offense too. Someone said, I think the third quarter shows why Brunson is not the problem. Something about their mentality is off, but when Brunson isn't playing, you see a lot of Towns activity, which they should be doing with Brunson. Well said, man. Well said. Because it feels like that there's some sort of mentality thing or a mindset thing or focus issue that contributes to some of those like third quarter struggles or those little slides. Um but yeah, they did get Towns involved a lot more. And I'm glad they're trying to do that because I think they have to try to do that more often. Someone said, "I love your channel, man. Probably the highest quality Knicks fan channel page out there." I really do appreciate that. That means a lot. And you followed up with a question: Do you think we got a shot at title this year? Absolutely. I mean, they always have a shot. I think as long as they make the playoffs and make it in a high seed, they're going to have as much of a shot as anybody else. But um, again, I think the group just needs to find some consistency. I think that's the big thing because we get nights like tonight where they win in a big way and we feel good about them, but then they turn around and face a better team and it doesn't feel the same. So they need to figure out how to handle the better teams more often, and Just find some consistency on both ends. Let's see what else we got here. Um, let's see. Oh, someone did comment on YouTube. Almost forgot about that. I'm going to pull it up. I'll get rid of the overlay for 1 second. Pull up this comment. Someone said, "What's your prediction for the remaining games?" This is a good question. Really good question. I want to see the Knicks go at least 3-2. There's 5 games left, and I want to see them go at least 3-2. I want to see them obviously beat the Bulls. If they lose to the Bulls, I'll be really upset. They should beat the Bulls, no problem. I want to see them beat Atlanta. Atlanta's been red hot. I want to see them win every game, obviously, but I especially want to see them beat Atlanta because it's their last road game. So I want to see how they handle the road, and of course against a team that is rolling. Um, Boston. I mean, I don't think they need to prove much more against Boston. I mainly want to see if they'll win that game if the second seed is still in play. If the second seed is still in play, obviously I want to see them beat Boston. No question. But if the second seed's no longer in play, I won't really care that much about the outcome because the Knicks already have beaten them twice this year. Um, and then Charlotte. I want to see them beat Charlotte, even though they've already beat them twice this year. I do want to see them beat Charlotte just to kind of get their get back. But that's also the last game of the season, so there's a chance that they have their seed locked up and that they don't play any of the starters. So if that's the case, then obviously that game means absolutely nothing. Um, but we'll see. And I think the game against I was missing the game against Toronto. They should beat Toronto, no problem. They've beaten them 4 times already, but if they don't, it is what it is. I hope by then they have their seed locked up. That's the big thing. This is the point in the year now where I feel comfortable about them getting the third seed. Um, so stay healthy, stay afloat, at least play hard if the starters are playing, and get to the postseason healthy. But more importantly, I do want them to see some better process on both ends. I think that's an obvious answer for me to point out right there. But um if they're playing their guys, I want to see them look good out there. If they aren't playing their main guys or if they're managing some minutes, it's a different story. And if they have their seed locked up, I expect the main guys to be sitting. And I would like for that to be the case because at that point, the only priority is health because you can't move any higher in the seeding. So that's really that. Let's see what else we got. I'll answer a couple more questions and then wrap this up. Um, Somebody asked if the Knicks blow a team up in the offseason, who'd be the first people moved. Look, I do appreciate that question. I'm not gonna really get into that at the moment just because I don't want to speak blowing the team up into existence. I don't think it's I think I but I understand the question. I do. It's something I'll get into in the post and not the postseason, the off season if they fall short. That's something we'll have a conversation about for sure. So I'll save that for then. Someone else said, I don't understand the Brunson hate. He's, in my opinion, a top 3 point guard right now after Luca and SGA. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think that the hate really comes from the just the team's offensive and consistency problems. It's easy to point at Brunson because he's supposed to be the engine of the offense. And look, Brunson has had his moments this year where um he's struggled. And of course, he's had his usual good games, but he's had his moments where he struggled, like against Houston, for example. He was bad. Um, he's had some bad games, and of course, it's perfectly normal for a player to have bad games, which is why I think tonight him resting was a good thing. This was a game that the Knicks felt confident they could win without him, and they were right to believe that. And I think it also helps Brunson kind of reset a little bit, get a little healthier, and hopefully gear up for the playoffs for a big run. Someone said you may have covered this, but I just joined. Well, what's up, man? I do appreciate you joining. I know it's the Grizzlies, but does the ball move excuse me, does the ball movement look way more in sync with Brunson out? Look, I don't think it's again, I said this before. I did say it before, so you are right. I did cover it, but I'll answer it again for you. I don't think it's I don't think tonight and the way the ball moved is like something we can look at and be like, well, Brunson's the problem. No, because we've seen the Knicks have big offensive explosions with Brunson. Um, some of their more efficient and better passing games have been with Brunson playing. So I don't think it's a Brunson thing or a lack of Brunson thing. I think it's just a system thing. I think tonight was more of just the guys were playing much more tougher and much more desperate because they were on a losing streak and because they need to kind of just get their heads right and get their season back on track. Um, so I think tonight was a little bit of an outlier. But I do think it was encouraging to see that they can perform like that. So it shows that like even with Brunson out, who is your engine of the offense, the guy you depend on so much, you can still produce good offensive results. And tonight they did that. So I don't think it's a Brunson is an issue type thing. I think it's more of a I think it's less about that and more of, well, hey, look at how good the other guys can play when they are playing at their best. So I think that's really what it boils down to. Anyways, guys, we're about a half hour in, and I think this is a good spot for me to kind of end it. I wanted to keep it short, and I'm gonna keep it short. I do appreciate everybody who's tuned in, and I appreciate everybody who follows the page and supports not only the page and of course my stuff as well on my Twitter and whatnot. If you guys are watching this on YouTube and Twitter, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe, repost, all that stuff. You can follow my personal Twitter account if you're on YouTube and Twitter. It's right there on the screen on the overlay. If you guys are on Instagram, it is at Dylan Backer ESM. That is my Twitter. And you can also follow my at Dylan Backer ESM account on Instagram as well. That's where I post a lot of Knicks content. Make sure you guys also follow Fireside Knicks on every social media platform imaginable. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Any social media platform, we are on there, and we are posting Knicks content, new Knicks content daily on there. So make sure you guys do that. If you guys are new to these live streams, make sure you guys do all that. Leave likes, comment, follow, all that stuff. And I will see you guys in the next episode of Fireside Knicks. I'll try to do another stream after the next game on Friday. Hopefully they win that game as well. It'd be nice to talk about 2 wins in a row. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next stream. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Peace out, and let's go Knicks.